Welcome to Protea Conversations, the podcast where leadership in business and accounting isn't just discussed, it's explored. I'm your host, Zane Stevens, and thank you for joining me as we delve into the minds of some of the most influential leaders in the industry. Our journey is one of discovery, from unraveling the unique stories that shaped our guest careers to invaluable advice that fueled their success. We're here to provide you with simple, actionable advice to accelerate your career and personal growth. Whether you're a budding professional or a seasoned executive, these conversations are designed to offer insight and perspectives that resonate with everyone. So tune in, engage, and be inspired as we build better leaders together. Welcome to Protea Conversations. Today I'm excited to be joined by Chad Davis, a co-founder and partner of LiveCA LLP, one of Canada's first fully virtual CPA firms. Since launching over a decade ago, LiveCA has grown to a 60-person team serving Canadian businesses in the 1 to 15 million revenue range, with a focus on rethinking how accounting services are delivered in a modern digital way. Chad's career is defined by building innovative models for the profession. Today, LiveCA continues to push boundaries in client accounting services, automation, and distribution work. Chad himself has been leading much of the journey while living full-time on the road with his family in an RV, now into the 8th year, showing what's possible when you pair forward-thinking business design and remote-first lifestyle. Beyond LiveCA, Chad founded Automation Town, a growing community where accounting professionals from around the world gather to learn, share, and experiment with AI and automation. In just over a year, it's become a hub for conversation about how firms can leverage technology in real, practical ways, moving beyond theory into execution. Through his work with LiveCA and Automation Town, Chad is helping reshape what it means to run an accounting firm and how to deliver value to clients. Chad, welcome to Protea Conversations.
It's all lies. I'm in an RV right now and it's like raining really, really bad. So sometimes it goes in and out. And for some reason, Starlink is horrible in the rain. Absolutely ridiculous. So if things go a little awry and I have to ask to repeat, that's the only reason. So I apologize to everybody listening ahead of time.
And anytime I'm acting stupid and you ask me a question because I'm being a moron, I'll just edit it out and I'll make myself look smarter.
That's okay. Did you get some of that intro from AI?
Yeah, some of it, did my research, dropped in all what I can find in you, Google you up, find some articles, give it some links to all the different places you've been, which is a lot, especially in the last 6 months as you've sort of shown up on some roadshows and different platforms talking about AI. So I try to feed in as much possible and then, ask it to summarize for me, and then I get to gush about you personally the way I know you afterwards.
How did we meet, Zane? I remember it was a while ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I think we connected on LinkedIn, and then I think Chris Williams introduced us at the Carbon event, like in person for the first time.
Yeah, that was a great event. I mean, if there's anybody here that hasn't been to a Carbon, do you still call it Carbon Next, or is it Carbon?
I don't know what they called it.
Either way, it's whatever
it was like the Carbon Cool Kids, and I was lucky enough to get an invite.
No, that was such a great event. I mean, and I think it was like maybe the second or third one they've done, but whatever one it was, very well put on. Food was great. Location was fantastic. Every session had impact, right? I think some of my favorite ones is when they had all of the leadership come up from Carbon, and it was like a Q&A town hall from everybody in the audience. And that was just like, it was a really good way to get it into the mind of the product manager and the founders and the CEOs about like what they're actually building. So I wish every conference had that because it was just off the cuff and really good. What did you like best about it?
So maybe it's not just the conference, but maybe it's just the whole culture of Carbon in general. I really enjoy the company. We've been with them for a long time. We were one of their first customers back in like 2018 maybe. And I've always got this impression that they're really honest, maybe to a fault. And they will share whatever. If you ask the right question, they'll give you the truth. Like they're not going to, unless it's something that they're going to like, oh, we're going to have a big launch about this. I can't tell you too much, but then they'll still give you like a little bit of a lead into it. But there's not a lot of tech partners that I work with that are so open, so honest, and like critical of their own thoughts and ideas. Like I was talking to one of the employees at the first evening's event, and I asked a question and he's like, never thought about it that way, but why do you think? And I brought up some ideas like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Maybe, maybe we're asking the wrong questions when we're talking to people. Maybe we're leading the questions a little bit too much. So maybe we need to rethink it. I was like, yeah, maybe, and it could just be that I'm an absolute lunatic and coming up with some different ways to think about things. But the whole general, I went for runs with some of the team members in the morning as well, asked them questions. They were very honest, even though they were half killing me on the run because that was way beyond my pace capability. But that for me, just the whole event felt very honest, very true. And they never felt like they were trying to sort of, sell us more services, right? And they definitely could. There's so many add-ons and extras and different levels that you can move on to, and they could easily be in sell mode all the time. But instead, they were just there to learn, ask questions, and really be honest about what they're trying to achieve.
Let's make this an hour about carbon. I think we could. But for
Yeah.
those that haven't been but are curious about like which events to go to, do you remember how much the ticket was? Because it is open to the public, right?
I don't know.
Yes, I forget what I think it was. I think it was around 1,500 or so, and then that
Yeah.
includes your hotel and food and all that other kind of stuff. But it was really well worth it. So, Zane, thank you for having me on here. I know this is an awkward start, but it was definitely worth it because Harbin was a great event.
Yeah. And I mean, we can sort of roll into that as well, because you've definitely been on some of these like micro conference type tours this year. And, I've been a couple that I've just sort of like out of the spur of the moment decided to jump in on. And I'm finding a ton of value in these smaller, intimate, very focused conferences rather than like the traditional big conference where there's 1,000 different speakers on 100 different topics and, just people trying to sell you software everywhere. And, going to, what do they call the Carbon AI workshop or whatever it is that you presented at, like jumped down to on the LA one. What you went there. It was one day, very specific. You knew exactly what the topic was. You knew the vendors would be there up front. You knew that they'll be available to talk to, but they're not there to sell. It was just very intimate, direct, and well run because everybody was there with the same agenda, not sort of 100 different agendas running in different directions, hoping to bump into each other.
Yeah, plus you get to hang out with people that want to be learning about the same topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are about like growing your firm. Some of them are about hiring. Some of them are about AI and automation. Some of them are about starting a firm. Some of them are built for bigger companies. It's cool that there's a lot more choice right now. And honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with, I mean, Jason Stats has tried and succeeded admirably at creating this like this, I won't say aura, but this like plan for a lot of events in person. It just seems like a lot of people are jumping on that idea. And it was just kind of cool for him to show up there maybe a year or so ago and just say like, this is the future. This is what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden you see, honestly, events every single month pop up. And yeah, the one that you're talking about was the AI and Accounting Summit that was put on by Ader and Carbon and Ignition. And great. It was 4 cities. There's a couple other ones that are going on. But yeah, if you haven't been out to one of those, it's just fun to meet other people in the industry and make some friends, learn a little bit, have some food, and move on. However, one of them, the food wasn't that great. So I actually went next door and got burnt ends at a nice barbecue place. And I forget what city that was in, but that was one of my highlights, was sneaking out and getting some good food and then bringing it back and then having everybody want some of it. So there we go.
That's a good tactic as I head over to one of these giant conferences later this year where the food is always terrible. I should probably keep that in mind so that it's okay.
You're talking about October in Vegas.
Correct.
There you go.
My least favorite place in the world.
I'll sneak out with you for a meal. So if you want to arrange something, happy to join.
I will definitely hold you to that. So I want to talk about your career, where it started, where it got to, but I think it's very important to see that we are listening to the rain in the background to talk about this adventure in an RV. How did this even happen?
It's pretty simple. I was drowning in work, and it was about 2017. So we were about 4 or 5 years into the company, and I was in my basement just working from home. At the time, we probably had maybe 50 employees, 40 employees, 50, somewhere in there. And it was just a grind. Everything was a grind. And I was like, if something doesn't change, I will be ground. And just some really deep conversations with my wife. And we realized that the first step would be to rent one and just kind of take it on a 6-week trip. And when we did, we fell in love, came back, bought one, went out on a typical 1-year trip. And then that 1 year turned into now we're into our 8th. So it's like 7 full years, and now we're a couple months into the 8th year. But it was just one of those things where it was out of necessity. And I guess you could say I probably don't have the biggest amount of willpower. So I like to change my surroundings in order to change my behaviors a bit. And knowing that now, I see how much it made sense. So you just kind of have to lean into your personality a bit when you're making big changes like that.
I mean, for me, it feels almost impossible to comprehend because I love routine. I want my days to look exactly the same every single day, and it will make me so happy. And the thought of my home can move, my schedule will have to change. Like, it's just, I don't stress about much, but the thought of your lifestyle stresses me out.
You're gonna hate this. We pick 3 places a year as major rocks, and everything in between is ad hoc. So like we'll be going from one place to another, and if I don't have to be at a specific city for any reason, we'll throw it to the kids and say, okay, what do you want to see and where, and how long do you want to stay there for? And they'll get on Google and they'll do some research. Like my favorite story is we were driving down I-10 across the south out of San Diego. We were heading east, I think towards Texas or something. And when we got like right around El Paso, somewhere in there, I remember my daughter at the time said, wait, we just passed these caves. I want to go see those caves. It was like a 2.5 hour drive, slightly northwest. So we had to like turn around, and we got off on an off ramp and turned around, drove, 2.5 hours out of the way. And we spent like 4 days up in some random caves that you could go down into. And because we have solar and batteries, we pretty much can stay wherever we want. So we found literally a field in the middle of nowhere by this national park, stayed there, worked, went into the caves during the day, came back. It's like, as much as that sounds stressful, it's exhilarating for me. And like we get so much fun memories, and like we just have no structure whatsoever when it comes to this. And after a while, you realize that if a place is full, you move on, and it's not the end of the world.
Well, like I envy you because I just can't like my brain doesn't comprehend that one, and it sounds amazing. How old are your kids that are making these decisions?
Right now they're 10 and 14, and the 10-year-old is in the other room with his MetaQuest, and he's doing piano vision. So he learns piano through VR, which is crazy. I can't teach piano, so it's awesome.
And they're loving the lifestyle
to a point. I mean, like to every single person, you love something until you don't anymore. And I think like after 7-8 years, there's aspects that you absolutely can't stand. And for us, like it's going to sound really bad, but it's like, it's the people. It's not nature. It's not the campgrounds or the parks. It's the way that people interact with that. So like certain places, I hate seeing the bad side of people that are littering and throwing fireworks into caves and just like treating nature with no respect whatsoever. Like you just see a lot of that the more you travel and go to different places. So I've become pretty jaded around the idea of camping near people because it's almost never a great experience. All the great experiences are when you're like with friends, or it's quiet, or you're by yourself or on a riverbed somewhere, and you can just kind of take it all in and enjoy it. But I think that's the part that's kind of getting to us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I never thought of. Like, I generally am happy to not be around people. So that type of lifestyle, it's seeing the worst of people would probably not be good. I might become a full-time hermit.
It's not hard. It's not hard. What does your travel look like over the next little while?
Nothing too special. We've got a soccer season at the moment, so I run the local soccer club. So I'm pretty tied to home until the beginning of November.
You can call it football. You're allowed.
You grew up in South Africa. We called it soccer. So
did you really? I didn't know that.
We did, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we called it soccer. All the guys I went to high school be like, oh, it's football, it's football. Like, when we were in high school, you called it soccer. Stop, being such posers. We're 20 odd years out of high school. You don't have to pretend anymore. Just call it what makes you comfortable.
It's funny. I forgot to ask you, how long have you been doing this podcast for?
This is my second year.
Second year. And roughly how many episodes?
I think I'm recording 44.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Why do you do this?
It's a selfish endeavor where I want to hear people's stories, see what I can learn from them. What can I gather from it? That's, experience standpoint of other people that could help me become better at what I do and hopefully also a better person. And I think, that part of it, the second part of it, being a better person, I've definitely achieved through these recordings because I've been able to speak to people from all sorts of backgrounds, different worlds, different upbringings, and see their perspective on life. I think that's quite important. To be able to talk to people that have just come from different backgrounds and understand their perspective, the way they see life, the way they see business. Most of these episodes, I think it's like out of the 44, it's like 34 are accountants and 10 are just business people. 34 accountants, you think, oh, pretty similar stories, right? And they're not. They're all so unique, so different. They're all coming from a different world, different experiences, have different goals in their life, right? Like you're the first person I've ever spoken to that lives in an RV and is sort of creating this crazy lifestyle for themselves. But then you got other ones, I spoke to Erin Pohen a couple of weeks ago, and she was sort of figuring out her life while in Japan because that's where her husband was deployed to. So that's just where they were. And you're like, I can't even comprehend that type of lifestyle where I just had to up my life because that's where my husband needed to be. And we make the best of the opportunity, find different places to keep ourselves busy and learn new information and just jump into it. And for me, that's been huge. And it's hopefully something that people have taken away from listening to these episodes is just how unique people are, how genuinely good people are to build a comfortable life, be happy, and find some success. Even though we are all different, we're all really running towards the same goal of happiness.
I was listening to that Erin episode, and she has got some crazy moves too. Like she goes back to see Cleveland Brown games.
Yep.
Crazy. And she has a boat. And she has a boat in Seattle, I think I remember from that episode.
Oh, it's amazing what you can find out of people. And to be a Brown supporter and travel to a game, like that is just like, it's torture just right there. But it makes her happy, right? And that's what it all comes down to. It's like, what makes you happy? You guys are living in an RV right now. It makes you happy. I run this crazy youth soccer league. Like most people think it's the worst thing in the world, but it makes me happy. And, it's just these different experiences that we all have, and like hearing about them and sharing people's stories with other people brings me a lot of joy and fulfillment in life.
You ask a lot of other people, but I'm curious, what is the profile of Protea? It's Protea, right? Or
Protea.
Sorry about that. But what's the profile of that in terms of clients you serve and people in your firm and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're a 40-person firm. We deal mostly with the wine industry, alcohol beverage in general. We have some importers of wine and things like that as well. And we do everything from bookkeeping to CFO level services. And, we're just trying to help as many clients possible get good accounting information so that they can be successful.
What's the go-to wine management app in the QuickBooks and Xero ecosystem now?
There isn't.
Oh, so you're building one.
So there is a software that doesn't really integrate so good with QuickBooks yet. It's a system called Innovent that we've been partnering with, and they call themselves like a winery operation system. But effectively, you can track all your winemaking from grape to bottle within their system. And at the moment, they're building out a finished good platform as well. It's sort of in a live beta type system right now, and they're working on that to sort of integrate with some of the warehouse software out there. The problem with the wine industry, it is still living in the 90s when it comes to technology, and it's hard to get clients to use Excel, yet alone with these fancy apps, as they would put it.
I mean, if you ever wanted to be an on-premise accountant traveling to wineries, I could think of worse things to do.
Yeah, I am very fortunate. I end up in some nice places, and I live just outside of wine country in Marin, but I get to travel up to Sonoma and Napa, down to the Central Coast for a fair amount. I was in Texas wine country earlier this year, so yeah, I live a pretty good life from a random guy from South Africa that just ended up in California. How did you get into the world of accounting?
Well, that's the most boring thing ever. Don't worry about it. Family had a business. I was in their accounting department, saw how much opportunity there was to be helpful. High school, there was a course and there was like 6 people in it. And I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. Yep. I'd rather do that than do the sciences. Then university, fine. It's like the only course I ever got 100 in was in accounting in university. So I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun, pretty natural. And then you just kind of go through the courses. You're like, oh, I actually think this could be pretty helpful. And you can use technology a little bit. It's pretty cool. Why not? And then you just get jobs and it works. And you're like the tech person in the accounting department for every job you've had for a decade. And then you're like, oh, cool. Like I can still remember being in an accounting department where when you had a journal entry in an ERP system, like you printed out the support and you walked to the binder of shame in the middle of the department and you made sure it was in the right order. Because if it wasn't and nobody could find it, you're in trouble.
Yeah, audit life would be terrible when those juniors from the CPA from the audit firm walk in the door and be like, where's the backup for this journal entry for $5?
It's in the binder. It's
Yeah.
in the binder.
As being on both sides of that, starting my career at KPMG and then working for a listed company as well, I see the frustration on both sides. What? You telling me it's in a binder and I got to look for it? And then the other person's like, of course it's in the binder. Just look in the binder. Um, it is such an interesting, flip mindset. You're like both accountants when you're both frustrated with each other over the same thing. When in reality, it's the binder that we're both pissed off with and not actually the process of putting the
I
journal entry in
wasn't
the
mad at
binder.
the binder. I was mad that the binder wasn't digital.
Yeah, I get that. I had an office full of these big files. Even on my first day at the listed company, I was like, yeah, you got to do month end. I'm like, great. I'm like, what do I do? They're like, look at the binder. You can see the journals we processed last month. You can just do the same ones again. Oh, interesting.
And you get paid for this? Really?
Well, it was also, and you've only got till tomorrow at 5 o'clock to get it done. So good luck with your first month in. Okay, so at some point in the future, you decided you're going to start your own accounting firm?
Yeah, I was living in the Cayman Islands. I was with my wife. We were in this like little cove and we look at each other and we're like, I think if we brought Xero to Canada, people would use it. And this was, 2011 ish, maybe 2010, the thought of it. And then what happened was it's just like, nobody really jumped in. No big firm was like, okay, the future is now online general ledgers. And it's like, well, if no one's going to do it, I'm going to do it. So we packed up our beautiful like beachfront place. We moved back to the snow in Canada and like majorly flopped. Like I bet you I made 40 grand that year, that first year coming back. And it was just like, oh wait, I don't think people are ready to move. Oh crap. I've never sold accounting services to strangers before, right? How do you do this? And I think when you realize what's really rough and hard about owning a firm, you realize that like you don't really know very much until you've been put into that situation and you're trying to dig your way up. And part of the journey of digging up is finding people around you that can help you, not hinder you. And what was really cool is that in 2013, I met my business partner, my now business partner, Josh Zweig, and he was the licensed professional accountant, right? He was the one signing off on the audit papers. He was the CA who had just like hadn't like knew every tax return. I'm the other accountant that was like, okay, I want people to enjoy accounting. I'm a CPA, but I still really want the operations to run smoothly and the tech to work and people to be excited to do the work. And when we married those two things together, that's when the magic really happened. And people started believing in buying services with online tools when they could get the entire gamut of services under one roof. And we just kind of rode that wave for a really long time.
And when you say the whole gambit, is that from bookkeeping to tax, everything?
Yeah, we didn't do audit because we liked our lives, but we did everything up to audit.
Okay. So you guys joined forces and then you sort of just figured out how to sell because, you mentioned that was one of the biggest problems, right?
That
It's like,
probably took half a decade. And
yeah.
then you realize you don't know anything. I think people that think they know everything about selling and running companies are just either lucky or maybe they're really smart, but I don't know. I haven't met very many. I think what just matters is you sell based off of the type of person and company you want to be, and you just keep moving on. So we've always tried to be helpful. I've never really charged for sales at all, like some companies do. And I love the idea that we can be helpful and earn trust and almost share the risk of working together. And to me, that lands more than creating barriers because our ideal customer has always been the big company, right? So we only work with businesses that are $1.5 million and above. We don't do personal taxes for anybody but the owners of those businesses. So if we're the back office and if we're doing everything up until controllership and we don't do CFO work anymore, the idea is that we can be that like repeatable, reliable company. And that's great, but there's risk. Like when you're bringing anybody on, there's risk. So I feel like it should be a shared endeavor to work together because we need them just as much as they need us. And when the power imbalance is too high, I've just found that it's like what's the analogy where you like light a match and the whole forest goes up? I've seen the whole forest go up a few times.
It's interesting in terms of selling, I think, professional services in general, because a lot of the time it feels like the only way you can really sell it is to overpromise. And I feel like I never want to overpromise anybody. If anything, I want to underpromise and deliver, more value when it comes through to it. So I'm not trying to be sort of shy of what we do, but it's more like, hey, this is what we do. This is where we can help you, and be very honest, like, hey, that's an area maybe we can't help you. Like, we have a potential client right now and they've got like all this manual stuff. We don't come to your office, so we can't be pushing paper around. You're going to have to do it yourself or hire somebody, or like, we can't do that portion. We're not going to promise you that we're going to magically make this portion of your work work for you. And we're not going to do something special just for you because it just doesn't make any sense for our business. I want my people to be comfortable. If they want to work in their PJs today, that's great. I'm not throwing somebody on a plane from South Africa either to do that work. So, let's not overpromise, not like try and make everybody happy, but just be really honest in terms of this is what the services we are providing. This is the way we think you can help. Let us know if it fits. And sometimes I think that probably comes from a bit of a position of, I've been doing this a long time. We have a lot of clients. We sort of know, and it can be a lot harder, I think, for a lot of business owners in the beginning. I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago that had just started their own business, and I was like, hey, who do you want to work with? And they're like, anybody. Just send them my way. I need money, right? So it's this like position of privilege, I think, when you're a few years into your business, that you probably are able to be a lot more honest with yourself, and that therefore honest with potential clients in terms of what you can do and how you can help them.
What's the best thing about your firm? Like, what works really, really well?
In what sense?
Whatever sense you attribute value. I'm just kind of curious, like, what you're most proud of about the business that you've built so far.
I mean, I'm proud that it's a place that people want to work. We just had 2 people hit 10 years with us, which it's probably my greatest achievement in my whole professional career, because they're good people and they've been around for 10 years, and I'm difficult. Ask my wife, difficult to be around. And they chose to stick around and work with us because they believe in what we're doing. I think what I love about the work I do is that it is helping people in real life. We work on much smaller businesses than you do. We're in the $1 million to $3 million range is sort of where our clients live. But most of them are entrepreneurs, mom and pop type stores that are putting their life savings into their passion. And we're giving them tools to try be successful and stay in business for a lot longer. And, nothing sort of sticks out more than, going through the pandemic and not having lost a client throughout the whole period of time, not through them going out of business, not from them cutting services with us because they felt like we weren't valuable to them at that point in time. So for me, it's all about helping people.
That's a really good point. Do you track your churn percentage? I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Sure. We're at like 98% retention.
So you've had 2% churn per year.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly admirable.
And it's probably terribly too high.
I think that's the best number I've heard talking to anybody about churn in the accounting industry.
Yeah. The counter argument is that we are holding on to clients that maybe we shouldn't.
Well, that's the thing, right? And I think like our number for the last 2 years has been hovering around 20%. And that's really unsustainable. However, like the thing that we have done is we've created this engine where every single customer pays the same for the same service. And every single year it's renewed with an increase in rates. And then, that budgeted hour calculation gets changed. And if someone shouldn't pay that and they should probably be with someone else, then they are with someone else after that. And I feel like that's the cost we're paying to have a business model that is guaranteeing profit that essentially is spent to ensure that our team members get their raises every year, and that there's, I won't say fairness, and I don't know if the word equity is the right word. When every single customer pays the same, it takes a lot of the stress out of pricing and that discussion of like, oh, I need to add or remove services, because I'm just as happy to have somebody cut their services in half and free up that time to be able to be sold to somebody else if it means that the customer stays and they actually pay for what they want to pay for. And like that took a really long time to change my mindset around, because forever, like we had gone up and up and up, right? Like up to the 120 employees where we were onboarding 20 clients a month at one point. Like very unsustainable when every one is $1 million plus. Mm-hmm. So I feel like everybody just has to kind of go through that growth period of like finding yourself and deciding how that affects your pricing model, how that affects your capacity, how that affects your growth, and more or less like how does it affect your day to day and what you like to work in. Because at the end of the day, we're just here for a short time.
That enjoyment factor is sort of underrated. And, obviously being a very niche firm, I get asked that question a lot of the time, like, how do you niche? And my answer is always like, hey, what do you like doing? That's a place to start with it. And, creating a structure like that sort of makes sense for you, keeps you comfortable, keeps you happy, keeps your team happy, is important. It's going to look different for everybody, right? We can't compare your 20% to my 2% because they mean nothing, because our businesses are very different. We don't have tax to start with. Like, there is just generally a higher churn in tax. That's just one of those things that happen. So, we're just doing accounting services. It is a lot stickier. It's harder for people to change. So just naturally our churn rate should be higher than somebody that has tax in it. It's all good and well. And, this is sort of like the dark side of like social media and the accounting influencers that are out there that are sort of trying to paint like, hey, this is the pretty picture of what we should all look like. Like, there's a lot of good advice in there, but I think sometimes if it's not framed the right way, you can really get people sucked into thinking that this is an ideal that every firm should aim for, and ends up leaving people unhappy because they think they're not meeting some standard that, without all the facts, they can't be sure if it actually is even relevant to the firm that they're trying to run. So what's the goals for the future?
We're here. So the goal is that if we can build this place where people want to stay and it's like a machine that runs and we can show marginal growth and everybody likes where they work, great. I think you can always make improvements. So that goal will never be hit, but it'll get to a point where you just come to work and you can enjoy your time and you can stop working and you can enjoy your life and you don't have the stresses that a lot of people have when they're trying to figure out where to put all their efforts. So we're happy. Like 60 is a really great number. And, it might be 10 years before we hit 70, maybe. Like, I'm very happy with this business model because we've seen all the ones up to 60 and past 60. And it's like, actually, I'm pretty happy right here. Like, this is a good number.
No, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we're at 40 and like the thought of getting to 60, I feel like it's 30 years away, right? Unless I went in and really changed our growth strategy and try to really, open up the floodgates. But where we're at, it feels like a number that will probably never be achieved. And I'm okay with that because I'm happy with sort of the firm we have right now. And we love to add people, right? We want to help as many clients as possible, but we're also not gonna force it. We're not gonna put ourselves in a situation where things start crumbling underneath.
Yeah, we run our firm on EOS, and like the core value and like the purpose statements are always like high value work and a high impact life. And every decision that's made, like, what is the 1 year plan? What is the revenue going to look like? What's the profit going to look like? What are the benefits to the team going to look like? It all has to come back to that one statement. And we've said no to a lot of endeavors because it'll take away from the being able to have a weekend or stopping your job at a decent time at night or being able to take your kids or your family or go do something that you want to do. Like, that's incredibly important. So one of the things, like, it's like, we will not have an office. So as long as I'm here, we will not have an office.
Mhm.
And it's because we want people to join us knowing that they're safe from the return to office curse, right? Like, so if you never want to have any doubts that your company will not bring you back to the office, check out our careers page. We're happy to work with you because it'll just never happen. And like, that is one thing that's just such an ethos for us. And like, I don't know, will it change in 10 or 20 years? I don't know what the world's going to look like, but I can tell you for the next 5 or 10, like, we want this to be remote for as long as we can, because we started remote from day one, never had an office. And we went through all the challenges it takes to become a CPA training office and certify CPAs remotely. And it's like, that is fun. To us, that's the world we want to live in.
And I think it's a big advantage, right? When you build something to be a specific way, then there is no need to rush back to the office because you've never done it that way, right? Like, I think it'd be harder for you to even have an office right now because you'd have to rethink every policy and procedure that you've ever done. And you'd be like, I don't even know how to do this anymore.
And where would you put it? Everybody's in different provinces. And, well, by the way, we're Canadian, if I didn't say that already. But yeah.
Well, just attach it to the RV's roof and everybody just has to like come along for the trip.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Anyway, it is what it is.
I have to talk about AI when I'm talking to Mr. Chad Davis because he is Mr. AI himself. So we want to talk about that world and sort of all the fun things that you're doing and, probably not geek out because one, I won't understand half what you're saying. Maybe some other people will, but I'm really the AI 101 type guy. And it's intriguing to see what you do, see what you're sharing on social media, the way you play around with tools to see how they're going to work well, share that knowledge with other accountants. And I guess the starting point is you already mentioned you love technology, but how did you find yourself in this position of one of the go-to guys in AI in the accounting space?
I don't know if that's true, but I would say that there's a really low bar, right? I think there's a lot of people that operate incredibly smartly behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's 99.9% of all the accountants. They're incredible accountants that have great lives, that don't put anything out on social, and like they're amazing people. That's awesome. I just think there's some people that want to be out on social. It's like the reason I chose to do that is because one, it promotes some curiosity, right? If people see other people doing things, it might create a question in their day that makes them think about doing work a little differently. And like that comes way back to like our first jobs where we were trying to get people to digitize the binder and connect some data into a spreadsheet, right? Like it's just rooted in efficiency and not doing really bad work badly. So the more accountants that can do that, the better. And it's like, if you want to make friends, like I met a lot of great friends online and at events because put stuff out there, have a conversation, leads to stuff like this. And you're just like, now I know Zane from Marin County, right? And it's like, oh yeah, he's doing wine stuff. And next time we talk to somebody that's like needing a wine accountant, you're like, oh, I know Zane and I know a bunch of others. Like it's so nice to have connections with good people. And I find that a lot of the people that are interested in technology, not everybody, but like a lot, are doing it so that they can have they can have more time doing the things that people really want to pay money for, which is the conversation and the consults and the care and the compassion. There's a lot of C's.
Mm-hmm.
But like the idea that you can actually lean into those skills with your technical accounting knowledge is really fun because nobody loves taking reports from one place, keying them into another, throwing them into journal entries somewhere else, putting them into a binder. Like there's just so much opportunity when you can get a base set of automation and AI knowledge. I wouldn't even say AI, but like if you can grasp how data moves through the internet, through things like webhooks and JSON data schema and like connectors like Zapier and Make, you're ahead of 7 out of 10 accountants. And if you can take one tool, like one process, like a good example, we had a fax company that wanted to charge us per user, but it had to be sent through one email account as the from. So we just created a form and ran some automations through it. And all of a sudden our team of 60 can now send faxes without needing to have a user account for each one. And like that unlocked a lot of not just money savings, but the ability to think differently about how you allow your team to do it. I mean, faxing is a horrible example because it's faxing, but it's like, okay, cool. Like that's one way to do things well. And you just multiply that over different areas around moving data. And all of a sudden you've got like a more enjoyable accounting department. And it doesn't have to be fully automated or it doesn't have to be fully AI'd. You can just get away with 5 or 10% of it, getting away with removing 5 or 10% of the stuff you don't want to do. And you have a more enjoyable accounting department. So that's why I do this, is like to help people that have like no inclination to figure it out by themselves, but to be shown how to do that. And if you want to put yourself in the same room as the people that are building and sharing, that's why Automation Town exists.
That's interesting. The whole world of automation, it feels like such a simple thing that we could all do to make our lives a lot easier, but it does feel like there's still this fairly large subset of accountants out there that are very scared, fearful, just don't want to do it. Fairly negative attitude towards it because, we still run into files where we'll take it over from another accountant and they've never connected the bank account in QuickBooks. Hey guys, that's automation. Like that's a program doing something for you so you don't have to do it yourself. And they literally were keying it in, right? They don't even tell the client that because, we take on that client. We're like, we're going to upload the transactions to it. They're like, but the other firm did it in 2 hours. I'm like, there's no ways they did it in 2 hours because they were manually typing in every single bank transaction. They just weren't charging you for the work. Like it's insanity. Why do we think that still exists?
The easiest answer ever. It's like people develop at different rates, right? And there'll always be the people that put their sticky post on their monitor with their passwords. And then
Mhm.
there'll be other people that use biometric password managers that don't let you log into Amazon without putting your fingerprint in. It's like there's always going to be the two different versions and they will never meet, right? Unless the whole world is in some crazy Elysium type of world movie, Dating Me or something like that movie. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's okay that there's always people at a 0 and there's some people at a 10 and everybody in between. I just feel like as long as there's a match between what the customer wants to pay for and they can find their accountant, everybody wins. Everybody wins. Because there's always going to be somebody. Actually, I met a guy who was incredible, really nice person, but he's like, I want to be able to call my accountant whenever I want. Like, cool, here's how we price that. Like, oh, no, 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 no. It has to be like my other accountant priced it. I was like, cool. I'm going to introduce you from somebody who's operated like that since 1975. And there's no problem with that whatsoever. But that's who you're going to work with because no accountant will ever let you call them 2 times a day just to shoot the shit.
Makes sense. How do we engage those that are at 0 at the moment but want to be at 1, 2, 3? They want to start this journey, but they just don't know where to go, right? They haven't discovered chat on LinkedIn yet to get some ideas on where to start, or some of the other people that are already preaching. What advice would we give them to just get going?
I mean, it's so hard to say because everybody who's at that point has different needs and they run different companies. So I'll tell you the success stories that I've seen with people that are curious and they're thriving with tech are really smart, change averse owners who hire agencies to listen to them babble and complain. And they don't need to know how to solve it. They just have to be in the presence of somebody that can. And I mean, I won't say half, but like 25% of the reason why I started Automation Town was because I wanted those people, the 0s out of 10s, to be able to see what other people are building and then have 10 agencies talk to them for free about like what they can build. And like agency matching is so cool. And like, I bet you so Automation Town's a year old, I bet you the agencies have hired in total probably 25 or 30 clients minimum of like things that are ongoing and have like radically changed their firms. And it's like, that's awesome because without it, maybe they would have never met. So I hope that more agencies and more builders are putting themselves out there to accounting events and to accountant focused marketing so that they can just have the conversation. I think that's a good start.
No, I think that's a great place. If you are curious, do some research, find those edges you have it. I mean, for what sounds like a lot of them just need some sort of project management to get them moving forward. A lot of time what I need is somebody just to hold me accountable, right? And just say, hey, we're going to do this, but now give me some deadlines. Let me know who I'm reporting, who I'm telling what to, and then we'll just get it done. And I have to get it done because I've got a meeting. Actually, I have a meeting on Thursday with my team about some of the stuff we're doing. So I got to go make sure I've got everything done that I said I'll have done for that next call. It makes a big difference because we all get busy. We know it's important, but we can sort of just get distracted with other things like the other shiny objects that pop up in the day, or that new customer, or the difficult customer that we know needs a little bit of additional attention rather than focusing on it. Hey, I actually really want to do this. I know it'll improve my life. It'll improve my team's life. So let's get it done.
And look, it's a really fun time right now because if you really wanted to, you can learn anything. There is so much content out there that I met a guy in Australia and all he does is test all these tools. And he runs an accounting firm. And I always get messages in the middle of the night. It's like, have you heard of this one? Have you heard of this one? Like, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm taking it for his test drive. I'll give him like 1 or 2 little bullet points. And then he'll go, okay, those really saved me. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. And like, those are the tens of tens. Like, those are the people they are truly automating some of this work that people harp on that say you can't automate. It's like, no, there are outliers. There are really crazy accountants doing such cool things. And like selfishly, the way that you do this podcast, like that's why Automation Town exists. Is so like I can be around those groups of accountants too and to kind of see who's pushing the envelope. So because there's 0 out of 10s and there's 10 out of 10s in that group, it's like everybody gets a little bit out of it. And like that brings a lot of joy to me.
And that's exactly what you're looking for, community, right? Looking to bring some like-minded people together, add value to each other's lives, and push each other forward. 2 more questions, and then we'll sort of wrap this up. I could speak to you about AI forever, but we obviously don't have the time for it. So what's one piece of advice around AI and accounting that you would give other accountants?
Be very careful what permissions and who has access to the AI that you're setting up. And I actually have a video going up on LinkedIn today about this exact thing, which is just because you are hooking something up doesn't mean that someone else doesn't have the same access if they've got access to your Zapier or your Make account or something. So as much as people say things that are like, you just really want to understand what can be retrieved, what can be edited, what can be deleted, and what you're actually signing up for. Because a lot of times when people are hooking up these tools, they have no idea that in one swipe of a key, everything could be gone. I mean, it's radical, but like it's brutal. So just be a little bit more careful around who you're hooking up your systems to. And in this age where connectors in ChatGPT are allowing you to bring in your OneDrives and your Google Drives and your emails, cool. Just be very, very aware of the differences between the different tools and how that works, because it will be commonplace very soon. But like right now, it's a little bit Wild Westy, and you just want to make sure you're not exposing all of your private HR data to your developer or to your junior accountant who's going in and running an automation every Tuesday.
Yeah, we're generally pretty cautious in the accounting industry, so let's not forget that as we're now entering this world of AI and just, it's still a developing space. Have a little bit of caution around it.
But it's really fun to play in.
Very fun.
Honestly, like this is where signing up for newsletters and watching the odd YouTube video and just talking to peers, like there is so much more than summarizing and writing and brainstorming and marketing and automation building. Like there is really fun stuff that you can get into. And I feel like every time I screen share with somebody, I learn something and they learn something. And it's like, it's so fun. I try to do this at least once a week with an accountant where I'll ask them how they're using it and what they're doing. And I'll say, oh, I would have approached it this way. And they're like, very cool. And they'll be like, but I tried this. I'm like, oh yeah, that works too. I should have known that. So it's like, the more we share, I feel like the more we'll learn together. It's like learning a new language. You don't learn a new language by just using Duolingo or going to YouTube and figuring it out. You talk to somebody who speaks that language and you get immersed in it a bit and you like converse. That's where the real value is to an automation. And I just hope that people can find their other people to do that, because there's lots of groups out there to do that in. And whether it's a event in LA like you showed up to, an online community, or an in-person like state society or whatever it is, just show up. Because if you don't show up, you'll never really make any progress.
Tons of great advice there. Find your community, show up, and don't be scared to play a little bit. The last question, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, it was from my old boss, Ray. Shout out, Ray. Hi, Ray. You better triple check that wire before we release this money. And that's always stuck with me, because just because you did something once and you think you're smart and you double checked it, it doesn't mean that it's right. And what I think he really meant by that is like, take your time, think through it, make sure it's right, but then like step away for a second, then come back to it. And if something's really, really, really important, it's okay to do the 3, I don't know what to call it, but like checking it 3 times before you let something go. And I always use it. It's like before I press publish on a vibe coded tool or a video, and if I know it's a little bit, I won't say like, yeah, if it's a weird video and you're like, oh, this is actually quite opinionated or something, I'll sit on it for a couple hours and I'll come back to it. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to delete that. That's actually not something I want to post. And it's just great advice. And I really thank him for that.
Love that. I like to tell my team, let's slow down to speed up. We take that minute to just rethink what we're doing and is it correct? It probably saves us a lot of pain on the back end when we have, it takes a lot of time to clean up a mess. So rather just slow down a little bit. I like your version of it. Just triple check. Chad, I really appreciate your time today on Protea Conversations, even with the rainstorm going crazy in the background. This has been incredible. We like to end Protea Conversations with 5 rapid fire questions. Are you ready for them?
Very fast though.
Yeah. What is your death row meal?
Chicken wings.
Mountains or ocean?
Both. Just drive between the two. Mountains recently. Ocean's getting kind of gross.
What is a quality you appreciate in a good friend?
They'll pick up the phone.
Love that. Do you have a favorite book that you recommend everybody reads?
Yes. The smart answer is A More Beautiful Question by Warren Berger. But the dumb answer, which is the one that I kind of live my life by, but I like it. It's that corny book, The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's nice to just like only give so many fucks. You know what I mean? It's good that way. Might have to bleep that out. But yeah, I feel like I give my attention to the people that I want to give the attention to, and that has been not always the case.
That's great. Last question. What's your favorite piece of technology that makes your life easier?
Technology. I mean, it is the application of AI on everything I touch at work. So the technology, yeah, that has to be it, because I no longer have to hire developers to build stuff with code. Right? I no longer have to spend hours on Stack Overflow or somewhere figuring out how to do an Excel formula. Right? It's just that alone has probably saved hundreds or thousands of education hours and troubleshooting. And I can't imagine someone answering with something different.
Love it. This has been an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you for joining me on Product Conversations.
Thank you for dealing with the rain.
And with that, we ended another Product Conversations. Thank you for joining us in this journey of learning and inspiration. Today, we've gained insight from our guest and taken another step towards understanding the diverse tapestry of leadership in business and accounting. Remember, each conversation is a step towards the positive transformation of business leaders. We hope our discussion has given you valuable takeaways to apply in your own career and life. Don't forget to subscribe to Product Conversations on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so connect with me on social media channels. I'm most active on LinkedIn and would love you to join the conversation. Join us next time for more engaging stories, advice, and conversations that matter. Until then, keep striving for excellence, embracing growth. Thank you for listening, be kind, and goodbye from Product Conversations.